Let's also tell you that the Nigerian government has approved 25% and 35% salary increase for civil servants on the 6 consolidated salary structures. The salary increase is, however, separate from that being discussed at the ongoing negotiation between the government and labor unions following the removal of subsidy on petrol and the effect of the subsidy removal on Nigerians. The head of press, National Salaries, Income and Wages Commission, Emmanuel Njoku, announced the salary increase on Tuesday in Abuja. According to him, the increase is for civil servants on the remaining 6 consolidated salary structures. These include consolidated public service salary structures, consolidated research and allied institutions salary structures, and consolidated police salary structures. He adds that the increases will take effect from January 1st, 2024. Now, to discuss this, we are joined by a public affairs analyst, Francis Chilaka. Francis, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Now, Francis, you're going to have to unmute your device so we can hear you because we are unable to hear you at this time. So please unmute your device. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Don.
Grant. Good to have you, Francis. Now, so Francis, based on historical data and current trends, can you project how the combined effect of rising food prices and fuel scarcity will impact the cost of living for Nigerian workers in the coming months?
Well, I must say that this supposedly salary increase is bereft of proper planning, and the government did not think it through. Considering the situation Nigeria is at now, we're at a critical point. If you're giving between 25 and 35% increase, if we use the 35% increase for somebody whose salary is 30,000 minimum wage before now, you're looking at about 40,500. And you keep asking yourself, how do you want that person to survive in a country where a liter of petrol sells between 568 naira to about 700, depending on the filling station you're buying from, and where you have high electricity tariff, where you have transport that is difficult, that everything is getting out of hand. So it's a mockery of the entire system. Because if you're giving somebody 40,500 a month, how much are the senators earning? How much are the governors earning? How much are the permanent secretaries and government appointees earning? So, I believe that this has not been thought out, and I believe that it is rather going to push the people more into poverty than alleviating them from poverty.
So apparently it's going to be a grim few months ahead for the average worker. But considering the specific challenges mentioned by Labour, what policy recommendations can be made by the government to perhaps address the immediate hardship faced by Nigerian workers currently?
Well, the first thing government should do in a situation like this is to cut the cost of governance, reduce the cost of governance, reduce the frivolities attached to the offices of high government officials, and use those funds to cushion the effect of the cost of rising cost of living. I mean, for instance, we're looking at the issue of food now, food scarcity and the high cost of food scarcity. What is the cost? The primary cost of that is the insecurity in the land. So government should, as a matter of fact, address that holistically and create a situation where farmers are free to go to the market. I mean, a few days back, we had the former governor of Sokoto State, Bafra, was saying that he abandoned 10,000 acres of land to bandits in order to be alive. So in situations like this, government should stem the insecurity in the land and create an enabling environment for farmers to return back to their farms. That is one. Two, this whole idea of having IDPs in Nigeria, we're not in a war-torn country. Find a way to allow people to go back to their ancestral home and encourage them to go back to the businesses they were doing before all this madness started. So these are the things that government needs to do urgently in order to bring down the cost of living for Nigerians.
Oh, Francis, I must say, very interesting input there regarding the IDPs and what they could do to add to Nigeria's perhaps maybe industries. But let's use May Day as a case study now. How does the current economic situation in Nigeria currently compare to previous years, particularly regarding the affordability of basic necessities for workers during May Day celebrations?
Well, May Day celebration has always been a time where Nigerian workers come out to be able to appreciate what government is doing for them and to appreciate the fact that they are working. But with what is happening in Nigeria today, nobody's coming out. Nobody's happy that we're celebrating May Day. Nobody, no Nigerian is happy because people are being pushed away from the livelihood of, where we had the middle class, we had the middle class, we had the rich, and then we had the poor. But today, what we have is the super rich and the super poor. So you find out that Nigerians are being pushed into poverty more by the government that they should be praising. So it's difficult for anybody to be joyful that today is May Day. Because if you go out there in the street, you don't even have petrol to be able to drive out. You don't even have money for transport to move around. So it's a very, very sad day for Nigerian workers.
Oh, sad indeed. Now, let's talk about the salary increase for civil servants. There's a 25% and 35% salary increase for civil servants. How's this going to offset the rise in living costs caused by the petrol subsidy, do you think? This question, is just so that we get an idea of whether they're doing enough for Nigerians, using the civil servants as a case study. So how do you think this will offset the suffering that Nigerians are going through?
Well, I know that before now, there was this rumor that Labour was asking for a 615,000 naira minimum wage. But if you do calculation of what the government has offered, it's a drop in the ocean. It doesn't really make sense. It doesn't add value to the life of the ordinary Nigerian worker out there. Because what it means is that you're saying that 40,500 naira becomes the minimum wage, depending on which of the percentages you're using. And it is not, I would say that rather than improving the welfare and livelihood of workers, you're going to find out that with this new increase, the price of items in the market will go up because the ordinary woman in the market who sells items, hearing that there's an increase in salary, she doesn't want to know whether the increase makes sense or not. She's going to increase the price of her own items. So for me, this is just a mockery of the system. The government has been very insensitive. The government is not thinking about the plight of the ordinary Nigerians. The government is acting as though it is separated from the people. And this has always been the problem because if you were going to increase salary, you must increase it based on the ground. And the realities on ground is that the items for which these monies are meant for are so high that the money has become so useless even before people begin to earn it.
All right, so Francis, plenty of stats there and everything, but let's ask, is there hope in the future? We can't be going through all of this for nothing. Does it seem likely, perhaps, that everything that the government is putting in place to try and make the economy stable will work out? And how long will that take?
Stability is something I'm scared of, whether it's going to work or not, because, excuse me, if you're talking about the stability or the workability of the government policies, first of all, subsidy is gone. Secondly, there's a hike in electricity. There's a hike in the price of food items. So it's going to be very, very difficult for anybody as a Nigerian today to say that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Nigerians should be prepared for more suffering because that's the only way I can see it. I don't see any light right now because all the policies this government has put in place has somersaulted and none has worked. Rather, we keep going from a bad situation to a worse situation. I'm really, really not going to say that things are going to work well in the coming months or coming years. But as human beings, we need to be hopeful. But I doubt the possibility of any improvement or anything coming in the way of alleviation for the Nigerian people.
Well, okay then. Thank you very much, Francis. Good of you to join us this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.